Animal Crossing New Horizons sure is a weird game, isn't it? Some raccoons sell you on a trip to a deserted island, they get you set up with a tent, and only then, once you're trapped, do they slap you with an itemized bill. Eventually, of course, you can replace your tent with a house, and then you can add on to that house one room at a time using home loans, and each home loan doesn't have any interest attached to it. But that's not exactly how the old American dream works here in the United States, now is it? One time, at the height of Animal Crossing's popularity, as millions of people were stuck at home to protect themselves from a virus in 2020, Animal Crossing and Nintendo taught us a real, concrete lesson about the way money works in a modern economy. Yes, I'm talking about the fateful day that Animal Crossing New Horizons players received a letter from the Bank of Nook with the following message. We are writing to inform you that we have reduced the interest rate offered to all savings accounts. As an apology for any inconvenience, please enjoy the attached gift. We appreciate your business. Now, attached to this letter was a rug, but the damage was done. How big was that interest rate cut? Well, it went from 0.5% to 0.05%. In financial lingo, you might refer to that as 45 basis points. Basis points is just a fancy way of saying 0.01%. Said another way, the interest rate at the central bank of the Animal Crossing universe was reduced by 90%. So what's the economic lesson? Well, let's set the whole situation up first. In the Animal Crossing games, you can do many things with the in-game currency known as bells. You can buy items like outfits and furniture at the store. You can repay your home loans as you expand your house. You can even plant bells in the ground to grow a money tree. Of course, since Animal Crossing ultimately boils down to accumulating a vast collection of items and showing them off, the most important objective for many players is to expand their home as quickly as possible and max out its storage. That means paying millions of bells to Tom Nook. At the launch of the game, remember that the interest rate was 0.5%. Earnings would pay out monthly with a cap for each month of 99,999 bells. 99,999 bells times 12 months in a year times 10 years is basically 12 million bells. How much would you need on deposit to get that much every month? Well, roughly 20 million bells. That's a lot of fishing, fruit collecting, bug catching, and combing the beach for shells, don't get me wrong. It's meant to feel like a massive number. But by using an exploit that involved changing the system time on your Nintendo Switch, players could easily let their interest compound to ludicrous levels and accrue bells without having to wait basically at all. Nintendo saw what players were doing. They noticed that rather than experiencing the massive amounts of content the game has to offer, players were simply hoarding money. The more they could save, the faster they could earn interest. Nintendo had inadvertently created a whole generation of savers. But this economy runs on spending, baby. Nintendo wanted that money to flow around. Your hospital-themed basement is never going to be complete without a black and green cryogenic sleep pod bed, you know. Think of the photo opportunities. The Bank of Nook claims to be a private and independent entity, but in fact, its chairman is directly appointed by Nintendo. To me, that sounds like an organ of the political establishment. But I digress. The Bank of Nook, roughly 1 month after the launch of New Horizons, enacted its regime of easy money by cutting interest rates. By the way, if you were wondering, 0.5% interest per month is 6% annually, commonly just called APR. 0.05% interest, on the other hand, is only 0.6% APR. Moving the decimal to the left is a massive blow in any financial arrangement, and to add insult to injury, the maximum interest paid per month was also reduced. It's now only 9,999 bells per month. So note what the Bank of Nook did and why they did it. They reduced interest rates to discourage saving and encourage spending. Zooming out from the narrow world of Animal Crossing New Horizons for just a moment, when the Federal Reserve, the central bank of the United States, cuts interest rates, why do they do it? What effect does it have? Why should you care? If you guessed that cutting interest rates in the real world might be used for similar reasons, you're absolutely right. By the way, if you are enjoying this video, please subscribe to the channel so you can get more video game economics videos just like it. I really enjoyed this. It's been a ton of fun to work on, and if this video does well, there's a whole lot more coming. Now then, real life is more complicated. The Federal Reserve doesn't directly set the interest rate that you receive on a savings account, or the rate that you pay for mortgages and credit cards. The Fed sets the federal funds rate, which is actually the rate that banks charge each other for overnight loans to meet reserve requirements. It's also not even a specific interest rate that they set, but rather a range of interest rates. However, this federal funds rate number does indirectly control interest rates across the broader economy, including the rates that you pay on loans and earn at the bank. So, as you might expect, the video game equivalent is a lot more simple. But ask yourself, why does the Federal Reserve Bank want to encourage spending? This has a lot to do with the man who has dominated economic thought in governments around the world for decades, John Maynard Keynes. I'm going to oversimplify this, but basically, Keynes would argue that the way to measure the health of a nation's economy is by total spending. Consumer spending, investment spending, government spending, net exports, all of this gets added together, and this is what's known as aggregate demand. Don't get me wrong, critics of my position will say that Keynesian interventions in the economy prevent recessions from worsening into full-blown depressions. I'd say that these measures merely kick the can down the road, refusing to face reality. I won't dwell on the debate here, but my position is definitely a minority view in the mainstream. After all, Keynesianism is always there to conveniently justify basically all government spending programs. See, when times are tough, prices are rising, or there's a lot of uncertainty for some reason in the economy, like a new president is coming in, the natural response of average people like you and me is to save money. If you have some money on the sidelines, you can weather one or two emergencies without having to go into debt. People have done this for generations, and what's great about saving is that if you don't have to spend that money on an emergency, you can do something else with it. You can start your own business, make a large investment, improve your home, buy another car. Saving money is good. But again, in the Keynesian view, spending is what matters. If everyone is saving, why, the economy is unhealthy. Hence, we get things like interest rate cuts, longer-term financing packages for cars and mortgages, and so forth. When you add inflation on top of that, you end up with the average person thinking that saving is for fools. The effect of this is that it leads people who know nothing about investing to put money from every paycheck into the stock market, just so they can, hopefully, make enough to outpace inflation. As an interesting aside, in the early 1980s, you could make above 12% per year on a normal consumer 3-month certificate of deposit. That didn't last, of course, but what do you think is better for you and your family? Interest rates dictated by the overall preference for saving versus spending of the people, or politically manipulated interest rates that are literally an attempt to control your behavior? When the Federal Reserve cuts interest rates like it did in March of 2020, the argument goes that this spurs the economy on by getting people to borrow and invest. But it's also not a real interest rate. It's an artificial rate set by people with the hubris to think that they can control you. The talking heads on news channels will say that this is promoting home ownership. But if you read the fine print, it's pretty obvious that what's really going on is ensuring a never-ending flow of interest payments to the banks. And yes, these are the same big banks that were bailed out using taxpayer money after the so-called Great Recession. Okay, but back to Tom Nook and his home loan program. It's a video game. Tom Nook isn't real and he can't hurt you, but he is giving you an interest-free loan in the game. If there was interest being charged in Animal Crossing, let me tell you, Tom would do anything he could to keep you spending money instead of paying back that loan. As it happens, he has just the place for you to spend it too, with his political cronies, Timmy and Tommy. So remember, it's a big club and you ain't in it. The next time you boot up your New Horizons file to clear out the cockroaches, just do me a favor and cast a suspicious eye at the politicians and the bankers of the real world. Thank you so much for watching. As a parting gift, if you'd like to keep your money under your control instead of sending it off to bankers who probably hate your guts, well, guess what? I've got a free toolkit with 2 full-length video courses and a free copy of my Amazon best-selling book, Between the Lies. All I'm asking in return is your email address. Head on over to perfectspiralcapital.com/gamer and check it out. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.